All right, last question. I love the new show and enjoy it from seeing, thank you, Drew, by the way. From seeing videos about you and coffee, I was wondering if you prefer coffee made yourself or coffee from a business. Regardless, what is your favorite company to get coffee from? Continue making this awesome show. I start the day with homemade coffee every day. It's part of the ritual. Like I'm not really up until I've made a coffee. I use one of these devices that Will's showing off. It's called a Chemex. It's just like a very simple glass contraption. It looks like it belongs in a science lab. It sort of looks like a beaker, and you just put a paper filter in top, and literally all you do is boil water and pour it over grinds. Now, I do like to grind fresh coffee as opposed to buying pre-ground. I think that's the very first and most important upgrade you can make to your coffee process. I don't have this, by the way. I don't have the automatic. I have the actual classic pour over, and I have a few different sizes of it, by the way. I have a hand-blown 13 cup at the far bottom right corner there. If you just go, right there. This is the biggest one they make, and it's hand-blown glass. It's kind of pricey for what it is, but you do not need this one. You can get into one of the cheaper ones, especially if you don't need to make that much coffee. Anyway, so the first step and the most important step in the coffee process, in my opinion, is just grinding your own beans, because so much of the flavor escapes right in that moment. And so if you're making coffee with fresh beans that you ground, it's like your coffee flavor's going up immediately. So even if you don't get a fancy setup like this, just doing that one step would be my recommendation. But I still do buy coffee from stores. I buy coffee from Starbucks and so on. Sometimes it's just a convenience factor. I just need something quick. I'm not discriminating. Actually, I think for a fast food place, I think Starbucks actually delivers a fairly decent product, even though there's all kinds of scrutiny with Starbucks. They get all kinds of heat because, well, I guess that's just what happens when you're that mega in anything almost. It's like certain people get exploited, and then, you get all kinds of attention and scrutiny and criticism. But for what they deliver in the time that they do on every street corner, I had this nitro cold brew today that Will's showcasing, although they wouldn't give me a venti. They said it was too dangerous, Grande Max, because of the caffeine content. But then you click Grande and it's 280 milligrams. So what would it have been? 500 milligrams? I guess maybe that's a lot if they gave me the venti. Look, try the nitro cold brew. It's pretty good, in my opinion. But to each their own. Start the day with the ritual, in my opinion. It requires something from you. It's a process to kind of tune the mind up. It's not just about drinking the coffee. It's the process. You see yourself hitting the buttons of the day, getting the engine started, getting the mind going, and this puts you in gear. And then the coffee is just one component within the ritual that sets you up. So if you have a little bit of time in the morning, I know that is a luxury that not everybody has. But if you do, check it out, grind some beans, and see where you're at. See where you're. It's very meditative, the process itself. Although you sit there grinding, making a bunch of noise, not so meditative for anyone else trying to sleep. Not nearly as meditative. So we take that into consideration. But you're talking about the hand crank? Yeah. So the trouble with the hand crank is consistency of grind. If you're very particular about, I have a burr grinder from Cuisinart, and you can toggle in the exact density, like the size of the grind. And I've experimented a lot with it. And I like a fine grind. Fine grind, the potency goes through the roof. That stuff's like rocket fuels. So a little tougher to achieve with a hand grinder. But ritual perspective, could be a fun gig. You're there, you're grinding, it's coffee, the smell. It's all very exciting. Coffee's a wonderful thing. If you, for whatever reason, can't consume, maybe some decaf. I don't know if you're sensitive, something like this. Tea is great too. Willie Doo's always on the tea, matcha this, matcha that. So
that's great.
There's a lot of options out there for people. And however it is that you start the day, just get after it, get in there. Do what you got to do. Look at this guy roasting his own beans.
Yeah, shout out to Peaceful Cuisine. He's
cool.
Cool.
Willie Doo is sending shout outs.
Yeah.
Free promo. Peaceful Cuisine. It looks peaceful, man.
I
Can't even hear it right now. So this guy is using some kind of contraption. Will's showcasing a video. It's a hand crank roaster. There's a flame underneath and a basket that holds the beans, and he sort of slowly tumbles them over the heating element. And, he's roasting his own beans. Little quick tidbit before we're done on the coffee thing. The lighter the roast, the higher the caffeine content. So this is a really weird situation where, like, unlike alcohol, where the stronger the flavor, typically the higher the alcohol content, in coffee, the stronger the flavor, likely less caffeine content in a lighter roast. The dark roast, which is robust and wonderful, which is what I tend to gravitate towards, less caffeine content, marginally speaking, but less caffeine content than the lighter roasts. So keep that in mind. If you're caffeine sensitive, you think you reach for the light one, it ain't like a light beer. It's the opposite, in fact. Light on flavor, heavy on caffeine. That's the message of the day.